Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, well, fortunately for me, I don't have Runoff with me today. Well, fortunately for me, unfortunately for everyone else, but no, very busy on the schedule, which means you have proper man here who knows his statistics and never forgets his scores. But let's get into it. Right, so I'm going to start off with Championship from yesterday, and I will go to the Premier League today. Don't you worry, it will be fine. But I won't be doing the Premier League tomorrow, but I will preview that for you. So, first one I want to talk about, as Runoff isn't here, we can always talk about Norwich 3, Portsmouth 5. If you haven't seen that on his channel, please go check it. I'm sure it is great. But, no, I think I kind of know the reason why Norwich were just not there today. They had George Long in goal. Nah, but George Long didn't really help, if I'm being completely honest with you. All over, Portsmouth were all over the defence, and Norwich could score, don't get me wrong, that's why they scored 3. But if their back line had just improved that one bit, I think it would have been easy 3 points to take, and Portsmouth should be an easy 3 points. But the defence was just lacked, it was lacking. But it's not like I'm going to be any better anyway, is it? Because Blackburn 4, Millwall 1, but I'm not going to blame our keeper because we have George Evans in goal. Congrats on making your first appearance for the club, mate. But I think Blackburn were just all over us in the first place. We were lucky, we were good to get that goal, but we had good chances, we just didn't get enough chances. It's as simple as that. We were good, but Blackburn were better. And that's as best as you can really put it, to be honest. So, unlucky by... Well, I wouldn't say unlucky, we got battered. But this is the one I think that will be brilliant. Bristol City 2, Sunderland 1. Bristol City could actually make it to the playoffs this season. As I called them a few years ago, the most boring team in England. They are just like, shut up, Daniel. We're going to go into the playoffs. Liam Manning has absolutely transformed them. It's absolutely unreal what he's doing with that squad. And the fact he's beating teams like Sunderland as well just shows his quality that he can put into that Bristol City side. On to League One now. I sound so boring with that. But going on to League One, we have got Huddersfield 1, Cambridge 2. Neil Harris under Cambridge, doing the most Neil Harris thing and beating some of the best teams in the league, also by a goal. Well done, Neil. But no, Cambridge... Well, I ain't really seen them. I guess they went really defensive, if I'm being honest, just because I know my man Harris. But no, what he does gets the job done, and hopefully that will keep Cambridge out of the relegation spot this season. But it is looking a massive threat for Cambridge. But if Harris can keep the defensive performances that he normally has with the 1-goal games, which, yes, could be boring, but if you want to stay in the league, you might have to produce that boring football, which Cambridge need. But this is one, I think that is brilliant. Leyton Orient 4, Barnsley 1. Leyton Orient, well, a few years ago, I thought they were the best team in League 2. Now they're just showing why they are that quality in League 1. Because beating a team like Barnsley, but don't get me wrong, Barnsley, I think, is going to be done. Their season's over, and it's going to be no real push for a few years because they didn't get back straight up. They need to be getting into promotion fights and getting promoted in at least the first 2 or 3 years you're in that league, and that's just not what Barnsley have done, and that's what's let them down massively. And moving on is Peterborough 1, Stockport 1. The relegation threat Peterborough, well, I wouldn't say relegation threat, but very disappointing this season. Get a good point, I'd say, against Stockport County, but Stockport are still in the top 6. They could easily still get promoted, but they've just been absolutely superb. Stockport, Peterborough not the same, but on the day here against Stockport, they showed up, they got a point, and that point will be helpful to them. League 2, I get so bored with it. But no, Carlisle 3, Port Vale 2. Carlisle in the relegation zone beat one of the top teams in the league. It's a brilliant 3 points out there for Carlisle as it gets them closer to safety. It's a bad loss for Port Vale as they need to be getting points against these sorts of teams to be keeping their playoff spot, really. It's as simple as that. You have to always beat the teams that are behind you and just challenge the teams ahead of you. If you beat everyone behind you, and lose to like 1 or 2 teams ahead of you, you are easily winning the league. And I'm going to carry on because this I've actually cursed this team. I'm very sorry. Walsall 2, Harrogate Town 2. Walsall have dropped out the top 3 after I said many weeks ago, Matt Sadler and Walsall are going to dominate League 2, which they already are. I won't be shocked if they don't lose another game this season, or whatever I said about how they'll be so dominant. They have been awful ever since. And I somewhat apologise to Walsall, because I don't really want to fully apologise, as I don't do that. But Walsall, I have cursed you. It's as simple as that. I sort of apologise, but I've definitely cursed you. And this is one also for Ranulph. Colchester 0, Crewe Alexandra 0. Not because, oh yeah, Colchester got a point. It's because Colchester are now in the playoffs. Because I remember when he said, oh yeah, we'll push the playoffs, like a joke thing. And now they're actually in the race into that top 6. They're in that, is it top 6? I think it's top 7, sorry. But no, Colchester are now in the playoff spots, which I wouldn't have expected for 1 second under this, really. But it's brilliant by Cowley. It's just superb up there in Colchester. I don't know what they're doing up there to be doing so well. We'll go National League, which I only have 2 for, and then we go to the Premier League today, and I will preview you the games that I want to preview. National League, we have Barnet 1, Eastleigh 1. Barnet, top of the league, should be easily beating Eastleigh, but they beat the They draw to the bottom half side. I expected Barnet to win, to be honest, because they're top of the league. They were dominating the league, and they need to be getting 3 points to keep a good, calm gap so that they don't have to pressurise themselves going late into the season in case they lose their first spot and they have to go through the playoffs, because it is difficult to get promoted out of the National League. But once you do, you can easily become a really good team in the EFL, like take Wrexham, for example, who could still go up to the Championship, although they did just lose 2nd place to Wycombe after their draw and Wycombe's win against Bolton. But it's just, EFL is so much easier to get promoted than it is in the National League, which is why I see the National League as really difficult, because there are definitely National League teams in there that could easily be real good EFL level. Which leads me on to Gateshead 1, York 3, because now, after Barnet's draw, I believe York City are 3 points or 4 away from Barnet, which really narrows down this gap and could really put back in the title race. Forest Green are well out of it now, especially after their draw to Yeovil yesterday. But York City are putting the pressure back on, which is what they need to be doing, as that squad is really good and that should easily be getting promoted, that side. So York City need to just keep pushing like they have been. On to the corrupted Premier League. Love how I'm not in that league. We're never making the playoffs anyway. No, I'm going to start off with Brentford 4, Brighton 2. Well, I didn't really expect Brentford to go and smash Brighton out the park. It was a very good goal thriller by the Bees. The Bees sting the Seagulls, as they would say. But no, and Burmo had a very good performance, I think. So did Norgard. There was definitely some outstanding performances by players and Brentford in general. I'm not saying Brighton were bad. They were actually quite good on the day. It's just, once again, it's that case of like Norwich or Millwall. Like, you can get the chances, but you need to take them. And then when you're in defensively, you have to keep that defence in shape, because like we said before, when Norwich can score goals, which, don't get me wrong, I think they can, they just really need to bolster the back line and how they are defensively. Which leads me on to, Ranulph, you'll love this one. West Ham 1, Southampton 1. The fact you have just drawn to what I arguably think is the worst team ever, even worse than Derby County, makes me laugh so hard. But I'm not going to right now, because I've used all my laugh, because it was embarrassing watching you have to draw 1-1 to Southampton. If the bottom 3 weren't bad this season, I think we would have had West Ham Millwall next season in the Championship. Because you suck. Graham Potter's not doing you any better. You might as well have kept Lopetegui. Which leads me on to my final Premier League game. Aston Villa 4, Newcastle 1. At first I thought, oh yeah, Eddie Howe's back. You should just get Tyndall back in. No, it was Tyndall. I didn't even know. But I don't really know what to say because Newcastle had like 2 brilliant games, like 4-1 and 5. Okay, I think it was 5-0. I keep thinking it was 5-2, but it was 5-0. Yeah, 9 goals scored, 1 conceded. I thought they were going into this game easily being the favourites. I didn't expect them to go to Villa Park and just get thrashed 4-1. But it was brilliant by Aston Villa, to be in all fairness to them. Ollie Watkins, I think, stepped up a bit today, especially very early in the game, in like 16 seconds or something. He got a strike, easy goal. And Aston Villa just ran away with it, to be honest. And it was easy win, easy 3 points. Aston Villa puts them back into that top 4 race, which I think is very on. Anyone could get top 4 at this point. Well, we know Liverpool is and Arsenal probably is, but we all want Nottingham Forest to get top 4, or at least I do, because it'd be quite funny. Which previews me onto my games, which means, the first one will be Burnley-Sheffield United, where if Burnley win and Leeds do the same day, I believe, maybe, I think they both can get promoted, guaranteed on Easter Monday. Might be. I think it is. But no, that's going to be a thrilling game. Well, I'm sure James Trafford will probably do quite well, despite conceding against Watford. I'm sure he'll come back against a team like Sheffield United. Which actually reminds me, we do have the manager news. God, I love manager news. Cardiff sacked their manager and have appointed for the last 2 games of the season, I think it's 2, Aaron Ramsey. Their centre mid is going to be under the helm for the last 2 games. Which I'm not sure if that's them saying we know we're relegated. I'm not saying like Aaron Ramsey could be just some secret great manager, but I don't see him keeping Cardiff in safety, if I'm being honest with you. It's just, I think it's Cardiff accepting, yeah, we're probably relegated, we'd rebuild next year under a new system, under a new manager, and then we go back next year, we get promoted, and then we continue moving and pushing, and maybe we even get to the Premier League in 5-10 years, which is the optimistic one for Cardiff. But we'll see how Aaron Ramsey does going into tomorrow. No, not tomorrow, Monday. First game in charge. And then another preview is going to be, which could possibly be a live stream, depending on how things go. We will get Norwich City against Millwall. Could be a live watch along, depending on the tomorrow's standards. But it's going to be a cracker. I have a feeling either this will be a very massive goal game, or this is going to be one of the most boring games of football you ever watch, because we'll be so defensive because none of us can stop conceding. But no, the rematch, but this time we're not at Carrow Road, we're at the Den, which last time we were at the Den, we did beat Norwich, I think. Yes, we did, because it was under Joe Edwards, with it, which was one of the 2 wins he got at the helm. And then the final one, this could possibly be the Prem deciding, tomorrow it could be the Prem decider. Norwich, oh my gosh, if Norwich are the Premier League decider, I've lived. I mean, Arsenal versus Ipswich and Liverpool versus Leicester. I think Liverpool will get past Leicester, just because Leicester can't score goals, and they can't stop conceding them either. They may have got a 2-2 draw to Brighton, but when was the last time they scored a home goal? It's kind of embarrassing at this point. But no, Liverpool need to win, and Ipswich needs to beat Arsenal. And if both of those things happen, Liverpool will be lifting the Premier League this weekend. At least it isn't. If it's not Man City, we're all good. Although the most recent team that isn't Man City to win the Premier League is Liverpool, but that was ages ago, so I'll take it at this point. Anyone that just isn't called Man City, they'll probably go win it next year, let's be honest. At least they're not winning the Champions League. But, no. I've gone very quick there, I do apologise, but I ain't got no companion here, so I ain't got the... It's not great analysis, but no, I think that is all we have for this one. Thank you very much to listening to me. Unlike my my good old friend Ranulph, who again unfortunately couldn't make it. We're very sorry for that. I did remember every result, which is why I should probably be doing this, but no. Thank you everyone for watching. Make sure to go subscribe to me and the Canary Iron, of course. And obviously go check out his 2 recent videos of Bungay Town and also, what's their name again? Norwich v Portsmouth. But thank you very much everyone, and I'll see you next time.